All right, so hello, welcome to the AutoCrit demonstration for the Substack group. And some other writer friends are dropping in because they're also interested in this program. So let's get right to it. All right, so this is like the main thing that you get. And AutoCrit really has, they really are trying to build a community. I haven't really participated in any of the community things, but it's there if you want it. When it comes to purchasing it, I bought my membership and it's a lifetime membership. So I don't have to resubscribe every year or anything. And they had a Black Friday sale. And I think it was $300 or $299 on Black Friday. And trust me, it has been worth it. So here's just the main writer's desk. And you can see there are links to community. So when you click on this, you can see, look at all of these different forums where people are leaving comments and asking questions and all that sort of thing. And then there's all kinds of things that are going on. So if you need encouragement or community, they seem to have that in abundance. They also offer a lot of classes. And here we go. These workshops. And I think there is a charge for these. After they sell these lifetime memberships, this is probably how they make their pin money. But some of them are genre specific, and some of them are like fixing broken scenes or that kind of thing. So if you want that sort of thing, if you can't get to a writers conference this year, then these are always here. And then, you know, I've never actually been clicked on this one, but let's see what it says. Again, more pin money projects. They will analyze your pitch, your first chapter, a story doctor with a 30-minute consultation, story inspection, all that sort of thing. So all of that is there if you need it. I've never used any of it, but because what I have found just here is wonderful. So I have pre-uploaded something. This, here we go. Is this it? Yes. So continue writing. And I can show you all of the things you can do with AutoCrit here. So this is a book that's already been published, but this manuscript here was my final manuscript that I handed in to my editor. It was revised, but not edited. So let's see. So here are the things you can do with it. And here's a fun thing that you can do. You can compare with an author. So when I upload one of my historical fiction ones, I choose usually Diana Gabaldon because she writes historical fiction. For this one, it's a thriller. It's a legal thriller. So I chose this lady. I've never read her, never even heard of her actually. But I chose her just because she writes suspense and thrillers. But there's all kinds of people. Jerry Jenkins is on this list. Lots and lots and lots of well-known writers. So you can choose one of these for fiction or nonfiction. And or if you don't want to do a specific writer, you can just compare your manuscript to a general kind of genre formula. So, or you can choose an author in that genre. And same thing for nonfiction. So I chose this lady just because this manuscript matches what she writes. So, all right, planning, it will help you build a story or a nonfiction article. And it just gives you like queries and helps you define things. It does not write text for you like ChatGPT does, but it will help you build. And these were some of my attempts to see what it did with building. And I've been writing long enough. I was kind of like, I'd rather do this myself, I think. But if you're just getting started or if you find you get stuck, this might be very helpful. Excuse me, I'm not used to talking this much. But this is where I think it gets really fun, is when you go into analysis. So with analysis, you have these options. Let me take another swallow. We're going to have several lulls here because it takes a few minutes. This is a 104,000 word manuscript. I should have gone with a shorter one, but it's really pretty fast. It's faster than I would be reading it anyway. All right, computer, come on. Any questions so far? Just holler if you want to say anything. You can leave your mic on if you want.
So would you say that this program, just to give us like a zoom out level of what AutoCrit, the main thing that AutoCrit does, it gives you feedback on your writing? Is that what you would say?
I would call it a super editor. My last manuscript that I handed in, I did my usual 5 drafts, and then I ran it through AutoCrit, and it made it so much better. And I'll show you how. Okay, so I had just clicked the summary report, right? So it's going to compare me to the lady I selected. And I could have just chosen, thrillers or whatever. And then these are the areas, and I'll just show you. So here we go. So my overall score was a 90. And it says, oh, in line with bestseller expectations. Woohoo! Wouldn't that be nice? But it does all these things. And then pacing and momentum, dialogue, strong writing, word choice, and repetition. I always score lowest in repetition. I wonder if everybody does or if it's just my flaw. I don't know. And then it gives you recommendations. And this is the big picture that AutoCrit found. Wow, I have snappy pacing. Less than 5% of my paragraphs were flagged as being slow paced. And then it compares me to this lady. And we were almost the same. 1.7% of my paragraphs were slow paced. Words per paragraph. Again, very close. Mine was a little longer than hers. Paragraphs by word count. So this is a very short paragraph, and you would find that in a thriller, because short and snappy is the keyword. So I had over 2,000 short paragraphs and then more. And it says you should see a waterfall effect where the number of paragraphs in each bucket decreases, which is indeed what it found. Many, many, less. Average words per sentence. Boy, we were really close. Sentences by word count. Again, a lot of very short sentences, which you would find in a thriller. And then again, there's another waterfall effect, which they say you should have. Dialogue, 97.6, which they liked, because that's action on a page. There's a lot of readers who just skip over block paragraphs just to get to the dialogue. So I actually had more dialogue than she did, for what it's worth. Dialogue tag use. Said and asked, she had 697, I had 230. Because I believe that if you don't have to put a tag, don't. If it's obvious who's talking, just skip the tag altogether. And others, which is like exclaimed, answered, whispered, they would fall into that category. And then here's the total dialogue tags. Adverbs in dialogue. I despise adverbs in dialogue. That she said angrily. And I only had 7. And she had 80. So this poor woman, I'm not picking on her. I don't even know her. But anyway, Strong writing. This all falls under here. They do this. This is mostly adverb use. So they kind of ding you for using adverbs. So, okay, I had lessons she did. Showing versus telling. And what they do is they look for key words like she felt sick. In a way, that's telling because you're telling the reader she felt sick instead of writing she waves of nausea upended her stomach. Okay. So the latter would be showing, but she felt sick is telling. Honestly, though, sometimes you just want to say she felt sick and move on. But anyway, they kind of look for those keywords and give you a score there. And filler words are words like that, just, even, seem, very, really. I agree with all these. And they ding you for that. You should have fewer as opposed to greater. Passive phrasing, passive. You want them to be watch out for all the had, was, were, etc. And then your tense. Now everybody's going to have some of all three because sometimes you say he would have gone to the store or she will go to the store. That's future tense. Present tense, if the story, and this story that I had it analyzed was present tense, oddly enough, which is kind of unusual. And then past, because you have to have recollections and flashbacks. And cliches, it looks for cliches. And so it will let you know if it thinks you have too many. And then redundancies. If you say two words close together and they really mean the same thing, it will tell you. And then word choice. I'm not really sure what this means. It just says they generate the correct emotional response. But doesn't everybody use some of these all the time? So I'm not real clear what the point of that one is. And then point of view to see if you're consistent. Now, every I, it's going to flag. So even if you're writing in third person, you're going to have some I's in dialogue, etc. So every you gets flagged. So you're not really writing in second person. It's just flagged it. And then third person. Obviously, the story's written in third person. And then beginning a sentence with a character name, because we don't really talk like that. Well, George, let me tell you. So it will flag those. And sentence starters, if you start with and, it will flag those. And generic descriptions, if you just say it was a big house over and over again, it's going to flag that and say big is too generic. It's not specific enough. And then repetition, like I said, this is my weakness, apparently. Similar words used too close together. So there you go. And then it does this cute little wordle of the words used in your story. And these obviously are all mostly my character names. And then readability, of course, you can get this metric by running a spell check in Word. So, but here it is. Pretty obvious. Okay, so that's interesting. It's kind of nice just to see how you stack up against another professional writer. And so we'll click out of that. All right, and then the fiction analyzer, I'll show you how to run it, but it takes a while to run it. If you click on this, the first thing to do is to do it by chapter. Because if you ask it to go through the whole manuscript, it'll summarize your whole story. But if it's a very, very long thing, it's going to take a while. And if you have to have chapter 1, chapter 2 in your manuscript. By the way, if you try to upload a DOC Word file, it won't take it. It has to be DOCX, DocX. This manuscript was so old, I had to translate it into a docx before it would load it. So you have to click this little button to say analyze by chapter, and then it will do it. And okay. So while it's doing that, I wonder if I can keep going over here while it's doing that. I don't think so. Well, while it's doing that, any questions, comments, anything while we're waiting for it to do this?
So how many books have you used this for?
I used it on my little short story for that Jewel project, and I used it on my last, so really only one. But
Yeah,
I'm
it
Yeah.
sounds, I mean, it sounds so interesting. So in the analysis, could you potentially like put it in, let's say it's like after a draft or two that you know it still needs a lot of work, and then get an analysis, then keep working on it and then see if your like score improves? 'Cause
Yes.
that, I
Well,
feel
your
like that could really be helpful.
score, but not only that, you're going to be amazed at some of the things it picks up. For
Yeah,
instance, in this
yeah.
analysis, in the one I was running, it's scene by scene, because when I'm editing, I only do like 12 pages a day or 10 pages a day. And so really I'm only doing, 5 or 6 scenes, and
Yeah.
I'm really focusing on those. And it will say, in this scene, this happens and this happens and this happens, but you mentioned this and this. This could be foreshadowing for a tension to come. And once I went, oh, I never thought of that. And so it really gives you clues about things you can play up. I think in that last book I really used it on, I started using it in the 3rd draft, and then I ran it again in the 4th draft, and I ran it again after the 5th draft, so I could just really get it spit and polished to hand in.
Yeah. And what about like inconsistencies? Like if you say blue eyes and then later it's brown, or
Yes, it will
catch some of
catch them.
those?
Mhm.
Because I'm terrible at things like that.
Yeah,
If I
it's
don't take copious notes, everybody will have different hair by the end. So
oh yeah, oh yeah. I've done that. I've had people marry different people, and yeah. All right, it's up to 9 minutes. Okay, let me just tell you while we're waiting. I'll go through some of these. All right, the analysis is cool. The pacing, it will flag your slow paragraphs for you.
that's really interesting.
Dialogue, but see, I didn't have that many slow paragraphs, so I've never really messed with that one much.
Mhm.
Dialogue, I don't really mess with that one much because I knew I had enough dialogue. The strong writing has some good things under it that I have used. Word choice, I use a lot. Repetition, I obviously use a lot because it says I'm bad at it. Readability, I don't use that much because, my stuff always comes out in the word thing. It's always like,
I feel like that could be more subjective.
yeah, and then I think it is.
Yeah.
Inspiration. Now this is fun. Because I'm a very pragmatic person. And so when I started writing, the editors always said, we need more emotion. We need more emotion. And I was like, well, I said she was mad. And no, that's not going to do it. So what happens in this inspiration thing, I will demonstrate it for you when we get there.
Mhm.
And it will look at the scene, and then it will say, do you want to increase the emotion? And I say, yes. And then it says, what emotion would you like to add? And then it gives you like anger, sadness, happiness, joy, whatever. And then you click one, like if I clicked anger, and then it will say, do you want to add irritation, jealousy? And it gives you like 5 shades of anger, and you can
Wow.
choose one of those. And then it will say, it really whittles it down, and then it will give you 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how many it can think of, things to add into the scene that will increase that emotion that you're working on.
Hmm.
So I usually don't use that until a later draft,
Right.
when I think I have it pretty much the way I want it. And then I'll go back on some scenes and think, okay, I need something else in here. or
Mhm.
somebody just died and, you know, I said they were sad and they're crying. What else can I do?
Mhm.
And then I think that will be very helpful. That
So
one,
then you add it right into the text in the program and then re-download it at the end so that you can put it back in your doc file, or do you just correct it in your doc file?
I'm glad you asked. That's a good question. All right. Oh, you see all these? Oh, good. I can move that. See all these here? A
Mm,
lot of people apparently actually write in AutoCrit
okay.
because you can write. And then these are typical word processing saves, like save your document, upload a document, download a document, search for a term, add a bookmark. All of these are ordinary word processing things. Um, I use Scrivener for my first drafts though, because
Yeah, me too.
I love the being able to find a scene in a
Oh, yeah.
heartbeat. So what I do is I mark it on here and then I click over to my Scrivener program and then I add it. Or sometimes if they've given me an idea, I copy it and then paste it into the far right column in Scrivener, which is, you know,
Mhm.
where you write your jottings and notes. And then I'll put it in my own words into my document then that way. So
Okay.
I don't actually write in this, though you certainly could. And
How,
save it.
how long did it take you to, how user friendly is this? Like, how long did it take you to navigate your way through to figure out how to use it? Did you have to take a course to learn how to use it, or?
I think it's very user friendly.
Mhm.
I mean, you just click on the buttons. Now, there are a lot of choices, and sometimes it was hard for me to remember, how do I get back to, that page? But I think the more you use it, the quicker you're going to remember it and stuff. So I wonder if I can start analyzing while this is running. Let me see. If I click on chapter 1, no, I think it's waiting. And I have no idea what the publishing button does because I've never tried to use that one.
So if you were having struggles with like figuring out how to best plot, how to best tell the story, would it speak into that, or is it more micro detail rather than macro?
No, it's both. You'll see as soon as we get this done. It's really pretty amazing. I should have only uploaded the first half of this. I'm sorry. I think my computer is. Yes, I'm going to go to this Opal short story. Okay, this is silly. It's a story I wrote. It's like young adult, so nothing profound here, but it's short. Okay, so let's do the fiction analyzer. And there are no chapters. So that's fine with me. Do the whole thing. So add a single chapter. Okay, so that's a chapter. All right, see, ta-da! Told you it was short. Okay, so synopsis. It opens with the protagonist, Debbie, making plans to sneak off to a David Cassidy concert. Her plans are disrupted when she finds a stray dog. Blah, blah, blah. It leads to a confrontation. Blah, blah, blah. See, simple. Conflict. The conflict between Debbie's desire to attend a concert and her responsibility toward helping the stray dog. Conflict between Debbie and her parents regarding taking care of the stray dog. Conflict between Debbie and Mr. Dawson, who grabs her wrists after seeing an opal nest. So everything I gave it pulled out all the conflicts. Characters. Debbie is the protagonist. Kimberly Higginbottom is her friend. Jake Dawson is the antagonist who shows aggressive behavior. And then there's Stuart, the neighbor who helps her finding out about the dog. World building. It's general geography, flora, and fauna. Well, apparently I didn't have much of that in there. No contradictory descriptions or inconsistent events found. Timeline. The opening scene, the discovery of the dog, the confrontation, Mr. Dawson, the police, resolution. Boom. Easy peasy. Foreshadowing. Mr. Jones mentions a burglary. It foreshadows the conflict with Mr. Dobson grabbing Debbie's wrist. Plot thread tracking, obvious. And genre analysis. It could be classified as contemporary fiction or drama, etc. Okay, so that is analysis. Okay, pacing. Sentence variation, and we're not going to do all these. I'm just going to kind of show you how it works. So when you click on that, it says boom over here. So it looks at your sentences, word links. But the important thing here is that they are varied, that all your sentences are not the same. So as long as you see nice jigsaws like this, you're usually in very good shape. Okay, let's move on to dialogue. Dialogue tags. Ugh. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, said and asked. 34 said. Said is invisible, so that's okay. Called, asked, whispered. But see, all the rest of them, there's just one of them, so that's fine. Adverbs in dialogue. Oh, how I hate those. I don't have any. Yay! Okay, strong writing. Showing versus telling. It will do all this for you. And let's just look at this one. I mean, of course, you can click on any of these and it will help you find them. And okay. Oh, I used the word no 27 times in this short story. And it's telling me to remove 15 of them. It's probably somebody going, you know. That's probably it. Too many coulds. There. Good. Nice one. So, it tells you what's good. Great work. And it tells you the words that you're just using too often. And we all have our little pet words. So that's a very nice thing. Cliches. And you have to watch the cliches because I remember in my Rome book that I used this on, I kept saying they pulled things over their head. It's over my head. Oh, it was first person. So I pulled the tunic over my head and it kept flagging that as a cliche. It's over my head. But I thought, not in that case, it's not. So here's my cliches. Yep. Except this out of gas, they really were. This was set in the 70s during the gas crisis. So that one I wouldn't worry about. Well, all these are only used one time, so I really wouldn't worry about them too much. But anyway, so you see how that works? It's very cool. And oh, this personal words and phrases, you can upload a list of your pet words that you personally use too much, and it will flag them for you. Let's look at generic descriptions. Oh, look at there. Obviously, I didn't get this far with this story. Look, that's one of my pet words. He looked over here. Look here, look there. She gave him a sharp look, blah, blah, blah. Too many. I need to remove 9. Pretty, 6. So these are all things I should have gone back and deleted a lot of them. So that's very useful. Look at that. Boy, I'm way over. Okay, repetition. And this is my bugaboo. I'm almost afraid to look. Repeated words. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, now see, some of them you expect to hear the character names. David Cassidy, she waxed eloquent about him, so that makes sense. I guess dog. Well, the dog didn't have a name. So anyway, you can just scroll through here. And oh, if you want to, you can just check a thing and it will take you right to where all those years is used. So you can correct it right on the fly if you want. So that's very useful. Boom. See there, 2 sidewalks within 2 paragraphs. I should have caught that. Okay, so that's how that works. Same thing with word frequency and phrase frequency, readability. I'm not going to worry about that. You can get the same thing in Word. Okay, now this is interesting. What happens next? You can click on, if you get stuck with what happens next, it will give you some suggestions or change the mood. And when you have a whole book open, what you do is you pick a place. All right, I told my parents, well, wait, that's the opening. Okay. I smiled as daydreams filled my head. Let's do that. Oh, wait, this is all her fantasy about David Cassidy. Okay. What happens next? And it gives you, you put your text at the cursor position. And then I could do an unexpected twist where she gets a picture of David Cassidy along with a cryptic note. Or she could meet up with Kimberly, that's the most likely. Or outlandish, a spaceship descends, the store opens, and David Cassidy invites her aboard for an intergalactic adventure. But isn't that fun? And then let's do the same thing, but change the mood. So, okay, so here we've got her daydream, change the mood. What emotion would we like to add? Fearful. Do I want to be scared, anxious, insecure, anxious? Do I want to be overwhelmed or worried? Overwhelmed. And see what it says. I want to be overwhelmed. And go. Generate ideas. Click the red button. I could have a sense of foreboding. Long shadows, distant sounds of sirens and screeching tires. Or I could heighten her inner turmoil, interweave moments where she feels a growing sense of doubt, or use sensory details, how the air feels heavy with tension, etc., etc., etc. I learned today that when you use that, when you use the environment to reflect the protagonist's emotional state, it's called pathetic fallacy. I did not know that, but now we all do. Okay. And then the publishing button, what does that do? Oh, book details or style and theme. I have no idea. Oh, I guess it's for if you want to self-publish, you can drag a copy of your book and enter all the publishing information on it.
I wonder if it like formats it maybe
I don't
in some
know.
way.
It must, because it says generate the title page on
Yeah.
export.
Hmm.
So you probably just combine it with these and boom, you can even put in the ISBN numbers down here.
Hmm.
Okay, anything you want to know? Any buttons you want me to click?
Does it do any grammar? Is it going to flag like, oh, there's a, I don't know, comma or just weak grammar, or like, let's say the wrong word is used, like steal or steal, something like that. Will it flag?
You know, I don't know. I'm looking. You would think that would come under,
Maybe under strong writing.
I don't know, maybe they didn't put it in because they figured that most people have a spell check and grammar check.
Yeah, it would, to me, I think this is more valuable than that. Because
Yeah.
like, you know, you can throw something in Grammarly, I guess, if somebody really was struggling with that.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, this, I have not seen anything like this before
Yeah,
that that analyzes it to this level.
yeah. I think it's just, like I said, oh, let's look at the passive indicators all of a sudden. We'd, we would. Okay, I see why they think that's passive, and you check it. They probably thought we'd go to a movie. But see, to me, that's not really passive, but because it's the we would construction, they're flagging it. And that's what all these are. You would, who'd, and then was, oh, that's. Okay. She was what we all aspired to be, and she was able to be. I still don't think that's really passive. It, it doesn't have a human brain, so it flags what it thinks. And then it leaves it up to you to make the deciding call about whether to use it or not, which is exactly what I do. When I'm self-editing, I search for the word was and were, and I replace them with all the same word in all capital letters. And then I go through and look at every time it's flagged myself and decide, is that truly passive or is it just referring to something in the past tense? So, yeah. So a lot of times you just want to say the sky was blue and leave it there. And then other times you don't want to say that. So yeah. So, all right. Any other questions? I mean, I think it's just the coolest thing.
What did your editor say anything this last time after you'd gone through AutoCrit and then submitted? Because
No,
you said you noticed a difference. I was curious if.
yeah, I noticed a difference, but I don't know that. Well, my manuscripts are usually pretty clean to start with because I do so many drafts. But I don't know. I felt like I was handing in a better book, but it's the really picky things like taking out too many looks. And I don't know that anybody would notice that. I don't even think a reader would notice that, but I noticed it, that I used it too many times. So it makes me feel like I'm being a better writer. But this inspiration thing, I think, is just brilliant and fun. And they seem to be providing updates all the time. I saw a note somewhere that the inspiration engine had been improved. So, what fun to play around with.
Was
All
there
right.
an alternate program that you were like debating back and forth between AutoCrit and that, or was this like something just totally unique? It caught your attention at the beginning and you thought, oh, I think I'm going to give that a try. What
Well,
was it motivated you to get started with this?
I did try another program that's a subscription, and I tried it for a month. Elizabeth, can you think of it? It's more of an AI. It's more like Chat GPT. You upload a scene and then you could say like add sensory
No.
detail. But I found that what it added was full of passive voice or not badly, it was not well written. And so it gave me a couple of ideas. Okay, I could have somebody smoking a pipe or something, but I didn't think it was worth it.
Mhm.
This to me helps me edit and sharpen my existing manuscript. The other one just kind of muddied the waters to some point. I can't remember the name of it. Wait, I bet I had it. I think I had it up here. Pseudo-write.
Oh, I've heard of that, but I've never used it.
Yeah, I tried it for a month just to see if it would do anything, but it was more like creating stuff that I thought I can do this better than it can.
Yeah,
So
you don't want to go and edit like AI writing. You want to just be able to edit your own writing.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like this is like the appropriate place for AI is to help you flag your own things. It's doing some of the functional work, but it's not doing the creative work. It's
Right.
still letting you do the creative work. And I think that's a really good use of AI.
Yes, me too. And this planning thing, the fiction story builder, let's peek at that just for a minute, because this is where like you get started. Tell me a storyline real quick.
Oh,
Anybody?
my head is completely blank now. Let's see.
A boy does what? What does he want?
Joins the military.
I got it right. A boy joins the military. And what does he want?
Respect.
They
From his
respect from his dad.
Okay. A boy joins the military and wants desperately to earn his father's respect. Okay, now what do we do? Oh, do we have to fill all this out? Well, look, if you got to fill all this out. Oh, I do remember now playing around with this. Yes. See, I feel like if I've got to fill all this out, I may as well just write the story.
Right.
I want you to put the where it is, the flora and fauna, the resources he has available, the culture and the conflicts.
Half the time, I don't even know any of that stuff when I'm going into.
I know his relationship character, his distraction character. I don't even do this much work for my own stories.
No.
And but this I thought was interesting. You romances have a plot, mysteries have a plot. So you pick one of those.
So what about his
Like
like
what?
historical fiction? Like, I feel like that has a little bit of a different pacing than some of those
Yes, it does.
that's listed, but
Slower. Yeah. Short story.
yeah.
Like meet cute, debate, the shift, the story breathes. So these are just plotting signposts to help you. And I can see if you're not, if this is your first or second novel and this might be like, okay, I need to have this. But actually, I like my little plot skeleton better because it's a lot more succinct than this. Relationship crisis. But let's see if does a mystery have a relationship crisis? And no, mystery revealed, investigation begins, false clues, hidden clue, initial midpoint, suspects dwindle, crime looks unsolvable. So I could see where this might be helpful.
Yeah, I've never written a mystery, so to me that would be helpful.
Yeah, it would be good, especially if you wanted to try a new genre.
Yeah.
So anyway, there it is. It's AutoCrit, got lots of cool features. And I don't know all the pricing plans. All I know is the one I got on a Black Friday sale. So do keep your eyes open. And I
Yeah.
think they have a monthly thing because the one I bought said lifetime. So apparently there's different tiers. But I think you'll enjoy it. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much for doing this. I think this is just really interesting. I think you sold me on it. So
Oh,
you should
good.
get some type of referral fee.
Yeah, Scrivener, that's the one. I recommend that to everybody.
Yes.
I've done so for years. But anyway, no, I'm just happy to pass on something that helps people do it better and more quickly, actually.
Yeah, the efficiency I think is definitely worth it.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all have a good night and I
Thanks
will
so much.
see you around.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.